Only the females. The males didn't have to do that. That's what happened in those days. Anyway, Reverend Josh and Mary Haun, Living Prayer, this mic is all yours.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Lynn.
Thank you so much, Lynn. It's great to be here. Let's go ahead and get started with our opening song. And let's go ahead and get permission to do that. And here we go. Thank you.
One, two. When you're caught in the wake of a terrible tide, suddenly you're struggling to stay astride. So you calm your hands and you cool your mind, and you wake up happy on the other side. Honey, you got what it takes. You got what it takes to save the world. When there is trouble you cannot command, maybe it's God trying to guide your hand. So you shine a little light upon where you stand, so that you can genuinely understand. Honey, you got what it takes. You got what it takes to save the world. Miracles happen every day. We don't know why. I guess we just lucky that way. A homeless man with no place to sleep woke up to find warm boots on his feet and a hot cup of coffee with sugar and cream. Courtesy of the only one thing he did. You got what it takes. You got what it takes to save the world. You got what it takes. You got what it takes to save the world. You got what it takes. You got what it takes. You got what it takes. You got what it takes to save the world.
All right, welcome to an hour of living prayer with Reverends Josh and Mary Haun, and we're just so grateful to be with you on this Saturday or whatever day you happen to be visiting and checking this video out. We just are so elated that you elected to spend some time with us and listen to, just a couple, and hear what we have to offer and what we have to share. And so as we get into that space of sharing and as in that space of joining, let's just go ahead and take a moment for prayer and consciously tap into what is. And I just invite you to settle down and claim this moment and give ourselves permission to set aside all of the busyness of the world. Whatever it is we think we need to tap into today, whatever it is we think we need to get done today, whatever it is we think we need to sign off or release today, we just allow those things to gently be set aside in this moment. And we trust that there is a higher purpose and a reason for all things. And, even in the midst of distraction, we just know that right here and right now, We can choose to turn our attention inward to that infinite and visible and listen for the still small voice within. That in this moment we can choose to acknowledge the interconnectedness of all things, the unity of life, the divinity of mind, and most important, we can just remember the love of God. Remember that love in our hearts so profoundly that we can't help but express it. And so in this moment, we just give great thanks for our mighty companions that remind us of our opportunities for healing. We give great thanks for all of those mirrors that reflect to us, the others that might distract us. Just remember to laugh. We remember to laugh in this moment, knowing that truly we are never separate. Truly we are never disconnected from the love that is, always has been, and always will be. We say thank you, Jesus, for that message and that demonstration of life and love eternal. We say thank you, Holy Spirit, for the continued teachings, those gentle corrections. We just say thank you, thank you, thank you. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Living prayer, emphasis on living, double emphasis on prayer. And we just have a house full of animals. And this is our blind puppy Miles, who
Say hi, Miles.
he doesn't make good eye contact, but he does a good job of knowing exactly what's going on before we do. I don't know if that makes sense, but he's just a great
like a
guy.
reindeer.
I know he does kind of look like a reindeer. He's only 10 months old, and he was born blind, and he is perhaps right now, in the last several months, my greatest teacher. Mary is often one of my greatest teachers, but right now Miles is kind of ahead just by a nose. And he's been teaching me some amazing things about love and forgiveness. And yeah, I think that's kind of where I was going to go today and where we might go today. I don't know. Mary might go. I don't know what's going to happen.
We're
So
going to talk about the lesson. And
Yeah.
hi, everybody.
yeah. So we were going to talk about today's lesson and maybe go from there and just kind of see where Spirit leads us. And so I'm one of those guys that I use my phone to access the book. So bear with me
And I'm one
here.
of those girls that uses her book.
I know.
The old blue book, my favorite, and for nostalgic reasons more than anything. They're all good. All the versions are good, but this is my favorite.
So I guess I could do that. I have been trying to do that where we pull up the lesson and show the lesson as we're reading it. Let me do that. And we're on lesson 350, excuse me.
Yeah, and it ties in with our song beautifully too.
It really, really does.
Yeah.
And so let me just share what I'm doing here. And we're on lesson 350, which is the last lesson in our section, What is a Miracle? And here we go. So, no, you can disregard my University of Iowa stuff. But here we go. Lesson 350.
Too bad you can't.
It's too bad I can't. Yeah, I get a lot of anxiety about my school stuff, scholastics and testing and all of those grades things. I get a lot of anxiety about that. And maybe I'll talk about that here. Let's get into the lesson and we'll see uh, what comes up from there. So, lesson 350 says, miracles mirror God's eternal love. To offer them is to remember him, and through his memory to save the world. What we forgive becomes a part of us as we perceive ourselves. The Son of God incorporates all things within himself as you created him. Your memory depends on his forgiveness. What he is unaffected by his thoughts, but what he looks upon is their direct result. Therefore, my Father, I would turn to you. Only your memory will set me free, and only my forgiveness teaches me to let your memory return to me and give it to the world in thankfulness. And as we gather miracles from him, we will indeed be grateful. For as we remember him, his Son will be restored to us in the reality of love. Okay, so Mary's tending to the puppy at the moment, but what what this brings up for me is this morning, actually, before we even got into the lesson, I was sitting in quiet, and I was sitting, and Miles, our puppy, was kind of sitting in the living room and kind of wandering around and just doing whatever puppies do. And my alarm clock started going off to let me know it was almost 6:30, and part of the alarm clock is like little birds chirping, and then a soft guitar starts playing. And Miles, who traditionally, when he hears unknown noises or new sounds, he kind of reacts in a way where he's trying to interpret the sounds, but he also demonstrates anxiety because he doesn't really understand them. And what that looks like is he starts walking pretty quickly in a circle. And as he starts to continue, or as he continues walking in a circle, he starts to bark and kind of notify us, hey, something's going on. I don't understand. But as he's doing that, he escalates and he starts walking around faster and faster with tighter and tighter circles until sometimes his legs will kick out, his back legs will kick out from behind him, and he'll end up laying down. And today, what happened was, if you want to watch,
And all the time he's barking while
yeah,
he's doing.
just it's
Well-
pretty chaotic, frankly.
He's barking at first, but then he like gets himself into such a twist. Yeah.
Well put. Yeah, he gets himself all twisted up and barking, and it just kind of actually adds anxiety to the entire home.
Environment.
Yeah, the entire environment is like, what the heck is going on? Our other dogs are like, oh boy, and our cats are nowhere to be seen. And it just kind of stirs up.
They
the whole
actually
thing.
just get to a safe distance and observe.
Yeah, well, yeah, they are judging. The cats are always just judging. But anyway, so he escalates, and the whole house kind of gets a little bit of a response, right? And I when it first started interacting with this, I like was really uh man, I was frustrated. It made me so upset. It made me anxious because I was fearful that he was going to run into something. It made me fearful that he was going to hurt himself. It made me fearful that I couldn't stop it. I was beyond my control. And like we've got all kinds of stuff going on. We got electrical cords floating in air, and we got dogs testing safety boundaries, and it's all kinds of fire code violations happening in our home right now. Merry Christmas.
Mommy code violations as well.
So anyway, all this to say that when Miles escalates, we escalate. And today, to get right back to where I started here, today, as I was sitting quietly, the alarm came on, and rather than him starting to walk in circles and start barking, oh boy, he actually just kind of stood still. Oh, I stood still, and he kind of just looked up, and he listened, and he paused, no pun intended. And he just kind of hung out, waiting, like to see, like he was checking for understanding. And so, like, I saw that, and I immediately just started. Now, this is kind of weird, and it's going to out me as kind of a softie here, but as I saw him kind of looking up and just trying to listen for understanding, I just started crying. Like, I just started weeping. Um, we've been through a lot of training with Miles, and we've been through a lot of um, escalations and frustrations with Miles, trying to help him um, acclimate and understand that he's safe. And what's happened for me is there's been two kinds of levels of training that have taken place. And the first one was during those moments where he would run in circles and bark, and I would just get so angry. I'd get angry. I'd be so fearful that I was just so frustrated, and I was angry with him. And I would get mad, and I'd be like yelling in frustration, like, you need, like, stop spinning. And really, what happened through that process is I realized my yelling wasn't really helping anything, and me getting angry wasn't really helping anything. And it dawned upon me, she's back, she's back. And it dawned on me that, Miles is like, I am the same as Miles. Like, that. Here's the deal: is that for me, when I start running around in circles and barking at the world, and I get all escalated and I get all anxious, I actually induce and teach others anxiety and fear. And I mean, I just observed that through his behavior. And so I think it was just maybe about a month ago, maybe a month ago. We've had him for 7 months, 6 months. And it was about,
It was 4 months and now he's 10, right?
yeah. So we've had him about 6 months, and it took me that long to recognize that I don't need to be mad with him doing that. And sure, the sound and the barking can get into my head and cause some frustration or whatever, but I don't need to be mad or reactive with that. And so that was an amazing sense of learning through him. And then this morning, as he was sitting there without reacting, without running in circles and responding, and he just tilted his head and he just kind of looked into the distance and, like, was just looking for understanding. And I was sitting there crying. It was because the fact that all he wants to do, no matter what his reaction is, all he's trying to do is understand and relate. And it just became very profound to me that he was so innocent through all of that, through all the times that he was running around in circles barking, through all the times that he was, reacting to unknown circumstances and responding to unknown or unfamiliar circumstances. I would perceive it as anger and anxiety, but truly he was just doing the best he could to understand what was going on. And for me, this may be real simple stuff to other folks, and this may be stuff that people learned a long time ago, but Miles has just been a really profoundly effective teacher in reminding me of all of our innocence. And it actually hit me in such a way that I could start to, forgive Miles for being the catalyst for all this anxiety, but then B, start to forgive myself for using Miles to attack myself. And I could see that I don't need to be reactive in that way either. And so what stuck out to me in today's lesson is it says, what we forgive becomes a part of us. And what it says is, yeah, very first sentence. What we forgive becomes a part of us as we perceive ourselves. And so it occurred to me that, I don't need to be angry or fearful because I don't understand something. I don't need to be fearful or angry or reactive because I've made a mistake. That when I am able to just simply stop and listen for understanding and to await a further instruction or a development, like what's next, just patiently stand there and hang out until something develops. That creates space, and that creates that opportunity for me to turn to God. And so I don't know, this lesson really was powerful for me because it just pointed out the importance of turning to God, and also the importance of forgiveness as a pathway to remembering God and turning to God. And so for me, what I love about this is it stresses the importance of it just stresses the importance of receiving a correction, and it stresses the importance of not continuing to escalate ourselves in our own little delusions and our own misunderstandings and misperceptions. And Miles just beautifully demonstrated that today in such a way that it rippled into the people around him. And I think that it's important for a guy like myself who's struggled with fear and demonstrated extensions of fear in the form of anger, as a more male dominant society where it's expected or assumed that it's okay to walk around valuing the purpose or the function of anger in our lives. And A Course in Miracles clearly states that there is no justified anger. And I still bounce back and forth between the delusion and the truth of thinking that anger will serve some function. And today it was just really presented to me in a peaceful and gentle and loving way that I don't have to live that way. I mean, my dog has grown more than I have in 10 months in 20 years. like my dog has grown in 10 months more than I have spiritually, if you will, in 20, 30, 40 years. And it's comical. Like, it's hilarious. He's learning to just acclimate and listen. And yeah, I don't know what that is about my ego that's so stubborn.
And he's a master of listening to understand. He listens to understand, which is really, really beautiful to actually kind of watch. He's actually beautiful to watch and to just see the little light bulbs go on. And it's been really fun in a lot of ways and exhausting, but fun in a lot of ways to just he can make us slow down. And like if there's a new noise, we have to stop and show him, like help him understand why my phone is making like this is, he doesn't know it's a phone, but he can understand it's this little box. I let him touch it and feel it. And it's like, he doesn't assume what anything is like I do. So he's really keen on listening to understand, and it's really beautiful to be a part of that whole thing. And at the same time, have our own, like, Les is talking about giving away miracles all week and things like that. And like, he's just constantly giving the miracle, constantly. And we're constantly learning our lessons. And it's what a beautiful and gentle way for Spirit to show us these profound lessons, and where we still have obstacles, where we still have our own challenges and things that we want to learn, that we've signed up to learn. So yeah, it's really kind of cool. But as Josh was talking about his experience, I was really thinking about this prayer by Nook Sanchez. So Nook Sanchez has written I think 3 or 4 books. So Take Me to Truth, I think, was her first book, and then the death, which is that one,
There's no doubt.
Undoing, the End of Death. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, The End of Death. And then she's written another one about Jesus. I don't have that one right at the forefront of my mind, but she reminds us here in an article she wrote on her Take Me to Truth website is, all attack is self-attack. It cannot be anything else arising from your own decision not to be what you are. It is an attack on your identification. Attack is thus the way in which your identification is lost, because when you attack, you must have forgotten what you are. And if your reality is God's, then when you attack, you are not remembering him. This is not because he is gone, but because you are actively choosing not to remember him. Which is, there's a lot of really profound ideas in just this little paragraph that comes from A Course in Miracles, the text, section 10, 2, and then 5. But because you are actively choosing not to remember, so that really makes it my responsibility, or as the Course would put it, a choice, right? I can choose again. And then she's got this beautiful prayer. It's her forgiveness prayer, which is just so in line with what I think Josh was talking about too. So the forgiveness prayer is, Spirit, please help me to forgive myself for having unknowingly used fill in the blank. So person, pain, sickness, depression, financial scarcity, anger, self-doubt, etc., to attack myself and to separate from you as my holy self. And so then she has the entire forgiveness process on her end of death page. So I welcome you to go through that, because that's actually a powerful exercise as well. But at any rate, it kind of just cuts it right to the chase here. Please help me to forgive myself for having unknowingly used. How many times throughout the day do I do just that? I attack myself by, oh, Josh hasn't fill in the blank, or the dog is spinning in circles and barking, or it's raining outside. All of that is attacking myself, and I don't even see it that way. I perceive it as being attacked. And then I can tell my story about it too, which is even, more fun. Well, Josh didn't start the tea kettle this morning. Well, he doesn't think about me. Well, maybe he doesn't love me. He doesn't love me as much as I love him. He's not thoughtful. If he loved me, he would be. All of that crazy BS that comes, and I haven't really had that as a scenario, but I've used other things. And, then I realized that not only am I using him as my scapegoat and ticket into hell, But all the time, as to Josh's point, I'm completely in this delusional state of the story, and then the spiral that just takes me right into hell. And it's profound how quickly I can forget that this is what's really happening here. That's like the whole premise, really, of A Course in Miracles.
Yeah, I don't know. Like maybe a lot of people out there are just kind of oriented that way, where they are very protective of their inner thought world, and then they're very protective of their heart, and they're very considerate with boundaries. And maybe a lot of people are just oriented that
Like the
way.
normies.
Like I don't even know. I wouldn't even know. And maybe there's a lot of folks that just don't even need this kind of material. But A Course in Miracles is vital for somebody like me who is absolutely capable of forgetting. Like it's like I have day by day, moment by moment amnesia, and I can just completely forget myself and then deny my true self and allow this self concept to just run rampant. And you know, I can completely start to buy into this world and the things that are showing up, and think that I have to, dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge around all the life that is coming at me. And thank God for A Course in Miracles that allows me to remember that there is a path to peace in the midst of all of this, that I do have the opportunity to choose again. I do have the opportunity to employ the decision making power of my mind to practice forgiveness and to stop diminishing myself and playing small as a victim of this world. And really understand that I am a gateway, and that I am um, collaborating with what is, that with the truth, and that I don't have to make a bunch of BS.
Well, and it really takes a position of absolute victimhood or powerlessness to a space of empowerment and the ability to tap into that right-mindedness, that knowing within, rather than just wow, the world again is attacking me. And sorry, I'm a little bit distracted by our cat right now. I'm trying to get back into focus, but distraction too, like that as well. Like all of it is just part of the same continuum, really. Of actually, that brings us to another thing that we were talking about this week, besides our nonverbal communication style, which has been working effectively. But
What do you mean by that, Mary?
well, I'll tell you what I mean by that.
What possibly could? What
So Josh and I sometimes struggle with communication. Shocker.
It's more me than her, to be totally honest.
No, it's me too, because I have a perception problem. I know none of you have a perception problem, but I can sometimes have a perception problem. And I also have a story around a lot of things, kind of like what I just talked about. And so sometimes when we're communicating, his communication style will be very direct and terse, I think is what you call it. And I don't receive that very well.
Shockingly enough.
And so I think it was with the lessons that came up this week, didn't it? That
Yeah, well, go on. I'll see where you go with this.
what were you going to say?
No, I'm interested. I'm hanging on your words.
Well, anyway, and so one of the lessons, we were in the kitchen and we were talking, and we were talking about like our miscommunication, and I don't know, either you did something or I did something, and we just like pointed in like,
Yeah, we were in the middle of a meditation.
Oh,
And
yeah.
sometimes we stand together in the kitchen and just choose 5 minutes. So we take 5 minutes in quiet while we're standing in the kitchen. And sometimes we're kind of doing stuff and sometimes we're kind of not, but we're trying to focus on the lesson. And she was asking me for something and I didn't understand what she'd said. And she's like, oh, 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 and, and, and like,
It just came out.
it worked.
Yes.
It was very effective.
He was like excited about it. He's like, that was effective communication. And I'm like, yes, we have found our language.
Yeah, it was very direct. It didn't need any kind of articulation. It was just a simple pointing and a noise and an emphasis noise, and there needed to be no words involved, and it was absolutely effective. I got exactly what she needed down, and it was hilarious and funny. And
we've been using it actually.
yes. And now, when we're both in this space of frustration with how we are, or more accurately, not communicating, we just go straight to the grunts.
The Neanderthal.
Yes. Like, I mean, honestly, words are just like symbols of symbols, right?
True. So confusing.
We can, oh, come on up, Beeks. Let's just get into
Let's
it.
have a family moment.
Yeah, this is Ruby. We call her Beagle or Beegs, and Beagle Smalls. And yeah, so this whole week we've been kind of playing around with these ideas of communication development or communication unwinding, like unlearning communication. I grew up in a deaf household where sign language was a primary means of communication. And Mary grew up in a hearing home, but no communication was the primary means of communication.
Or it was scary communication style.
Yeah, or fear-based communication, and anger-based communication was their primary system of communication. And so we both have our own unique BS belief system around communication and what needs to happen and what is or is not effective. And if we just take out the words and we start grunting and pointing and kind of like emphasizing, I think that it's been kind of a fun little experiment about how little words really mean, and how little
we can understand the words that are said.
we understand. Like, we place way too much value on words, like way too much. And so anyway, I don't know why we got into that topic, but
don't know either.
That's funny.
I think we were talking about communication or whatever, but yeah. Let's see, Spirit, bring us back around here.
No, I think here's what's coming up for me today is like when Lynn, you mentioned that it's really important. This has stuck with me a few weeks ago. You mentioned the importance of knowing that we are just students of A Course in Miracles, that we're everyday folks, that I don't know, sometimes you get into these book studies and you get into these like theology discussions, or you get into these religious discussions or like academia things, and all of a sudden you start to put a hierarchical association of teaching or experts, or you start to like place people on pedestals,
like a hierarchy.
and this just happens everywhere with every single thing in the human condition. And what I love about this opportunity to just have Mary and I join, one, it's like a beautiful touchstone for Mary and I to come together and remember our love for this course, and for Jesus, and for what we have as an opportunity to remember God and to remember love within the midst of our relationship, and in the middle of this world that seems to be so absent of love. Like, at one point in time in the lessons this week, it's referred to as a slaughterhouse. And it's just it's important to me. Why I relate with A Course in Miracles is important to me is that it's accessible to everyone. It is vital for me to impress upon anyone who's listening to us that A Course in Miracles is not some exclusive experience,
intellectual club, because trust me,
it is not it is not meant for only the academically inclined, or for those with a certain IQ, or for those who read it. I mean, I think it would be interesting to look at A Course in Miracles with like a simple version. Like it'd be interesting to look at what that might be. But
Well, people have tried to do that over the years, you know, like there's books about.
yeah. But here's the deal: is if we take the action that's presented in the workbook, and if we start to consider like truly applying those activities in our life with any semblance of consistency, what happens for me is I start to not hold fast to what I think I know. And just in that, at the very foundation of the practice of A Course in Miracles, when the roots of this delusional thought system are gently loosened and
Weird.
pulled, there's peace in that. There's space for freedom and joy, and there's not so much there's just not so much dependency on structure, on hierarchy, on separation, on fragmentation, on definition and confinement. There becomes a little fluidity, a little an ethereal experience. And I think that it's more in alignment with the unchanging truth that is that this body may come and go, that this book may come and go, and even beyond that, the I am remains. And I just really appreciate that about A Course in Miracles. And it's not some distant thing that is hypothetical. It's not some far off notion for those folks that get it. It really is through the experience of practice of doing the workbook, of doing the taking, using time for its intended purpose and connection and engagement with spirit.
So I'm just gonna call time out here real quick.
Do it.
So the reason why I kind of looked at you and said that was weird is because I was literally thinking of like uprooting when you said the words. Like it was kind of weird to me. But anyway, because I was thinking about another little root system over here, and then I was thinking about it, and then he said uprooting or something along those lines. I'm like, wow, that was weird. Like it's like he actually read my thoughts. But this is the thing about A Course in Miracles, especially if you're new. Just stay open. Just try to stay open. Stay open for the miracle and don't leave before the miracles. Like stick with it. Find a group. Find mighty companions that can help you. My thoughts are that looking back at it, the text, there's a lot of stuff in the text, right? Like for somebody like me, I opened it up and I'd like, I'll never figure that out. And I knew that I would never even get into this book unless I got into a study group that could help me understand it, because I don't really read books from start to finish. Just saying, but I've read the course through more than any book ever. I would have just given up on it. And so I got into a study group really quickly that really kept me motivated to wanting to know more and more. So, I read the text and I realize that as I'm going through the text, I don't understand what it's really saying, all of it. I mean, it's so high in so many ways, and there's so much to take in, but I know that I'm hearing the truth. And what's really happening as I'm first going through the text is that I'm starting to doubt. Some doubt is coming in because I think that I know what everything is for. And I have all of these ideas. My foundational thought system is my BS is very large and running the whole show. And it's like, I start to have these other ideas that start to come in, I start to consider things that I'd never considered before, thinking about things in a different way. And I know I've said this before, but like I start to realize, oh, maybe God's not an asshole. And like I just started to kind of open my heart up, open my mind up with the text. And then come the lessons. And then the trust starts to get built. For me, that's where I have a more experiential practice that really helped me start building trust with my higher power. And I believe that that's what most religions and spirituality or spiritual systems are about. It's about building that trust with a power greater than ourselves in some way. And then I did years and years of that, and I'm still doing that. So I did years and years and continue to do years and years of building trust with my higher power. So now today, like if in a manual for teachers, living A Course in Miracles, we can have these moments of grunting at each other, knowing that words are symbols of symbols of symbols that don't make any sense anyway. And then we can laugh. We can remember to laugh. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's how this comes into everyday practice. Like it's not just, it's A Course in Miracles. And there have been books about this too, of living A Course in Miracles, but that's just what it becomes. It's like, oh, Holy Spirit, Jesus, the guidance is in everything if I am awake, vigilant, and willing. So it is really, that's why I did a timeout, because I think sometimes that I can talk about A Course in Miracles in a way of, it's for everybody, you can get it and whatever. I wasn't that person. I really needed some help. I needed some mentorship in a way to help me understand and feel safe. Some of the ideas in this book, I don't know about anybody else, but some of these ideas in this book were not welcome, and I was scared poopless. For sure. Like it was startling and disturbing. And Jesus says, even in this course, that you'll be disturbed. And I was very disturbed about some of the deep-rooted belief systems that I had that were now being called into question. Like this being a dream state was terrifying to me, because I believe this was reality, hook, line, and sinker. I did. Why would I even really question it? I mean, I was kind of like, oh, there's something about the Matrix. But like I had these little things that were like, but or maybe a particular drug-induced state might make me wonder things too back in the day. But I didn't really question the reality of the world and everything else. But then I open A Course and I start to consider these things, and I start to realize that it's really the only thing that makes sense. And it's a gentle, like it's such a gentle, loving way to help me understand the horrors, the slaughterhouse of the world and everything else that happens. And then it gives me a way and a clear path out of the madness, which I didn't have before. I just really was left with the terror of it all. And now I'm filled with hope. And some people call A Course in Miracles a brainwashing cult. And I suppose in a sense, I mean, I'm right, Lynn. This isn't news to anybody. If you're watching this, you're probably thinking to yourself, they're crazy, brainwashed in a cult. But, David Hoffmeister says it's not brainwashing, it's mind washing. And I'd even take that a step further, that learning about A Course in Miracles and being able to be in touch with my higher power, God, not only has it flipped my way of thinking, but it's actually brought some peace, serenity, and hope to my heart. Like my heart has also been washed. I don't live from a place of fear, resentments. I'm actually open and available to other people. I'm a more loving, responsive, servant in a lot of ways than I ever was. And it's really brought out this compassionate part of me. Like we're just sharing this human experience.
Here's the funny thing about whatever we decide to learn in life, we can take it or leave it, right? Like whatever it is, I don't even care. Like you can learn about the stock market and you can either take or leave the instructions that you find and how to navigate the stock market. You can learn about pet and animal care, and you can take or leave the instructions and the things that you find about pet and animal care. And very much in the same way that I've been familiar with A Course in Miracles since the age of, I'd say, 12. I got introduced to A Course in Miracles at 11 when my grandma started to live with our family, and she was actively facilitating A Course in Miracles groups. And um, I was exposed to it very early and very often and had a lot of discussions with folks about A Course in Miracles. And I had worked the workbook through high school a couple of times. And I had this experience, right? And I had this amazing experience with A Course in Miracles. But here's the truth is that I can dismiss that experience and I can regress or whatever way you want to say it and not apply the lessons learned, not apply the forgiveness practice. I can decide not to apply all the things that are presented as I either actively consciously choose or unconsciously choose. And what I know today is that when I am living the principles of A Course in Miracles, when I'm actually taking time to listen, receive guidance, slow, await instruction, when I am asking for action in those moments where I feel tension, I tend to feel, act, communicate, and show up better than in those moments where it doesn't cross the consciousness of my mind. And I'll be honest, like I can go years where I'm kind of checked out, and I can go time like X amount of time where I'm just kind of in my own BS. And so the good news is you fill a mind full of ACIM and you keep trying to do things in your own BS, and that stuff gets exposed, and we're reminded regularly, or I'm reminded that there's got to be a better way. And I think
And that we can forgive about it.
we can forgive about it.
Forgive about it.
That's right. Like we can move on.
Don't steal that.
Don't. And we can because there is separation. There is separation.
It's reinforcing it.
But we are blessed to be able to have this opportunity to share this vernacular, to share A Course in Miracles together. And we hope that some of our experience, as chaotically as it may be presented or as hilarious as we may be, is somewhat appealing to folks, because this kind of stuff, it doesn't rob us of our personality. It doesn't rob us of the messengers that we are as extensions of God. What it does is it allows us to more easily facilitate that God presence within in such a way that we show up clearly as conduits for God's love. And I think it's just really powerful as a resource to continue to practice what's being offered, so that we can stay vigilant and anchored in the memory of God's love. And everybody deserves that love. Everybody is that love. Everybody extends that love in our own little ways. And I don't know. I think I'm done.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good for this week. Thank you so much for having us. I had a song I wanted to play out
Let's hear it.
about vigilance. Let's go to, if we can just go to the album version of The Devil Is All Around. Another one by Shovels and Rope, because we just love them so much. And And we like to promote their music, I guess. Not that we're promoting it. We love their music. We think it's very, very profound in so many ways. And so this is just one, I think it's the first song that we heard from them, if I remember correctly, on Austin City Limits. And I was like, oh, wow. They're doing something different. And I loved it. So anyway, this is a song about vigilance. And thank you for having us. And let's see here. What's the date today? Oh yeah, we have another week before Christmas, so I won't give a little Christmas thing, but you guys have a beautiful week. I said just the album version.
Okay.
Sometimes I have to say things a couple times.
If you would have grunted.
I just needed to grunt and point.
That's right.
That one. Okay, guys, have a beautiful week.
When the devil is all around, got you crawling on the ground, on your hands and your knees, with an apple in your mouth, you will know how far you'll go to make your peace with God. I got wasted and I sat around the fire all day, see if I could find someone to make love to, and I barely even noticed how the fibers they tear away from the fabric of my being. But nobody knows it like you do, babe. Nobody knows it like you do. Nobody knows it like you do, babe. The lengths we will go to. I'm going down a long road. Maybe it's the wrong road. Either way, I got to find my way back home again. Well, it's too late to turn back now. Gotta get the light on out. Gotta find some way to make it right on. But nobody knows it like you do, babe. Nobody knows it like you do. Nobody knows it like you do, babe. The lengths we will go to. There must be some other way, I just don't know. Gotta get myself back up on that high road. But nobody knows it like you do. So I'm gonna be a good man, gonna do the best I can, though I'm a shell of the man that I once was. And if I find forgiveness in the eyes of God, it'll be hard won, I assure you. But when the devil is all around, got you crawling on the ground, on your hands and your knees, with an apple in your mouth, you will know how far you'll go to make your peace with
All right. Thank you so much. And stay anchored in living prayer. Have a great week.
Thank you, Josh.